Good morning. This morning, I would like to talk about vibrational healing. Some people use the term vibrational medicine. I prefer the term healing because I don't want to confuse the medical establishment with that term. So that's how we'll roll with that. So I think one of the prime ones that is not talked about enough as far is the power of our voice. What we say and how we say it. What we say to me talks about the cognition, the ego. What are we trying to get out there? But also to backtrack with that, what do we say to ourselves? Each and every day, and what are we thinking, and then move into how we say it. What are we really trying to get across to another person as far as our intention and our ego even that can get in the way sometimes with that. So the pitch of our voice, the sound of our voice, um, is a source of healing and a source of conflict. So let's talk about what we say. The importance of that as far as a source of self-love and affection. So when we're criticizing or judging ourselves with what we're saying, we're not really healing, are we? We're stuck in that conflict of, I'm judging and criticizing myself harshly. We may or may not even be aware of that. But if you think about that sometime today, what have I said to myself that was really loving and kind? And what did I say to today myself that had criticism and judgment and really didn't feel good or taken out, feel God? I didn't feel spiritually connected. Okay? And then now look at what we say to other people. From a vibrational standpoint, the tone we use, the inflection, the sound change of a person's voice, the heart responds very distinctly to how something is said. So it's what we're feeling when someone's talking to us. And the importance of that, I think, is not really given enough credit. And what I mean by that is there was a wonderful study done in Michigan State with a laptop and showing all these different images in different spaces in time and different random order. And these practitioners were put into a room that didn't have lighting, really try to get rid of all the outside influence of, as much as possible, lighting, noise, vibration, EMFs. And they were all shown these images, and what the response was, images of beautiful nature shots, animals in the wild, and then scenes of bad car accidents, animals in attack mode up close. And what they found was the heart responded much quicker than the brain did. We've kind of been taught that the brain initiates everything. And what we're finding out with that study is that the heart responds first. And even the real interesting part I found was that the body responded through cardiac signs and electrical activity, blood flow, blood pressure, and stuff before an image was shown, which means we have the ability to feel and connect in our environment before an image is shown. So how does that relate to our person? We have the ability to feel another person's energy, and at the unconscious level, very aware of where they're coming from. They're not in a good mood. Their body posture is saying that they're defensive, or they may be aggressive even. So our heart is responding before the brain. And so I think that's important to realize as far as our own personal health. And if we're aware of that, we maybe become more conscious of how we treat other people. So I think that's something that we all want to take a look at in our meditation and prayer of what I say to myself, I want to be in love and kindness. What I say to another person, I only want to send love and kindness to other beings and animals, everything in this universe. I want to be a source of love and kindness for all beings. Okay. Now, other sources of vibrational healing, drumming. I want to talk real quick about 3 different ones that I've experienced, and maybe there's a little bit of difference between them. Native American drumming, African drumming, and Amazonian drumming. What I found with African drumming was it really sparked emotions when a true African drummer was playing. And I had emotional release where there was some sadness or grief, and I asked him specifically what he was playing, and he said healing rhythm. And this wonderful drummer named Sundiata Kata, I'll never forget him, in San Diego, worked for the San Diego Center for Children, and some of the toughest kids at that facility that wouldn't respond to traditional therapy, other things. Sundi would get a hold of them and get them in a circle, and they could even be running around and not even participating. And he would pull out that drum and work with very specific frequencies that were soothing and healing. And all of a sudden, very quickly, within several minutes, these kids that weren't doing well, all of a sudden became very quiet, sat down in a circle, and they were enthralled because they were being healed through vibrational energy. And of course, this man that just was all heart and kindness, and his passion was drumming. So that definitely came out as his expression. But I've been to other African drumming circles, and it definitely would spark emotions. Now, when I would be in the presence of Native American drums and play them myself, what I found with a lot of classic Native American drumming is spirit connection. That very quickly your brain would turn off and you would get into your soul space and let your true self come out. Very powerful, very healing. For anyone that's dealing with a chronic illness or don't feel good about themselves, they feel disconnected from their personal truisms, I think Native American drumming is very good for that. Amazonian, to me, was communicating very, very specific things about nature, your connection to plants, the environment in the Amazon, and how to communicate with other tribes in the Amazon. So there was communication effect, but there also was vibrations that really pulled you back into nature and what that meant. Very powerful. So if you get an opportunity, find some drummers in your area, what they call drumming circles. Google that and find a place that's doing that, and definitely spend some time in that. And also drumming is not going to be in a studio for the most part. It's going to be in nature. So being outdoors in a wonderful environment, and then having the spirit of drumming is very, very healing. I've seen some people in severe emotional distress make radical, very quick changes to get them out of a dark space and place. So tuning forks. Tuning forks have been around for a very, very long time. I find it to be common with osteopaths in the 70s and 80s were using them. So they're metal in shape, and I will bring one out right now. They're tuned at a very specific frequency, and when you learn how to work with them, you learn that they're tuned to musical notes as well as a very specific frequency. And we've learned that our organs have a very specific frequency, and they now can measure it and find out how far off in hertz the organ is, and you use the tuning fork for that organ to bring it back. So here's what one sounds like. And so the stem would be placed on the organ, that's specific frequency for that, and you would give a pitch to it, move around and hang, and you would hear something that's off tune, very flat, or even the sound stops almost. And you would stay in that area and treat it for several minutes or as long as it takes. And you can see a person's energetic response when it's starting to come back into place, that they, or their whole body will have a reflex. And fairly quickly you can make some changes in that. So I find these to be very, very effective for somebody that's has a very specific diagnosis that's organ related. And there's also tuning forks for bones, osteo tuning forks, that chiropractors and osteopaths use, and they're very effective. Crystal bowls, the singing, which is, you know, having something around the top of the crystal bowl, and that vibration that comes off of it, that are also musically tuned and at specific frequencies, really can bring a lot of joy and peace in your life. I would recommend, if you're thinking about using crystal bowls for yourself, find a practitioner that will work with you and pick a crystal bowl that's tuned to you, which is going to help you heal. And so when you use this crystal bowl, you coming from your own healing space, because that bowl was intended for you first, then whatever you're trying to do to help another person is, I think, much more valuable and much more specific. So where I live, there's a wonderful lady named Ashana, Ashana, that plays crystal bowls as a performer and sings, and it's a beautiful experience. If you go to ashana.com, listen to some of her music, and her CDs are phenomenal music that really glorious and very healing and very soothing. She has an amazing voice. And she, if you can get a hold of her, if you're here in the Valley in Phoenix, you can make an appointment with her through her website to get a crystal bowl that's tuned to you for your own healing and what you need. And she's very good at picking out what you need for yourself first. Because, you know, to me, someone that wants to work in the healing arts, heal yourself first. Know what you need and spend time with that, and then you become a very, very effective healing art practitioner. Some other forms of vibrational stuff would be the Buddhists that use, you know, Tibetan bowls and other vibrational instruments that go back thousands of years. Their bells are very, very effective. If you've ever been in a Buddhist or monastery, you can hear those instruments playing, and they're profound at what they do to help you heal deep spiritual wounds, I think, and really get yourself in tune to that. So I think that they have amazing instruments they use. There's, you know, the Native American flute, wonderful music. I think it can take someone that's emotionally distressed just by listening to that music, that can really, and Nakai, N-A-K-A-I-I, I think, his Native American flute music is astounding. And it's, if you're having an off day, put some of that on. You're going to feel better within 5-10 minutes, I guarantee you. So those are some of the more used tools for healing vibration. I hope you've enjoyed this short piece this morning. If you have any questions about any of these modalities, please send them to me in your comments section, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible about where to access some of these materials, training as well.